Good, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, folks. We're at this man always George Page coming to you live on YouTube, folks. Can you believe it? It is about the end of May. We have a few more days left. Actually in April. May just around the corner. There's some shows coming up, some big shows coming up. It's going to kind of drop from women's bodybuilding, but still some activity. Within the division you follow. So, folks, this is a special Must Talk Monday, and I've had couples before, but I never had siblings, brothers, sisters, brothers like that. It's something interesting when you find people who have that same common bond for a sport like bodybuilding. I have here two people. They have been competing for quite some time. They are IFB pros. They just competed this month. They did a couple of shows here. And one lady, she's been a guest on my channel before. She just competed just about, I would say, almost a month ago at the Triple O earlier this April. We have here the lovely Mrs. IFB Women's Bodybuilding Pro, Miss Andrea Wellington.
Hey.
Welcome back. Welcome back. She took a break after 2023 and made a return at Triple O. And she did both the Open and Masters, cracking the top 10 in both those classes. She looked really amazing, I would say, And she is a scientist, a motorbike enthusiast, and just a lovely lady, a mother and a grandmother. So I want to give you a shout out to you. Yeah. Also, we have here is a guest, and as I said again, this is the first time we had siblings, and we have here her brother, IFBB Man Physique Pro, Mr. Rusty Jeffers, and Mr. Jeffers just competed just this weekend at the Emerald Cup, and he competed in men's 60 plus. Look, this guy. He's 60. I mean, he makes me look ashamed. I mean, I look like a little man, I just feel so So thank the both of you, and I appreciate your time.
Glad to be here.
All right.
Glad to be here.
So the first off, I already asked about, as you call her Andy, that's her nickname, Andy. So I want to mess it up because there's another person with your kind of name, and I'm just in love with her. So
Yeah.
And Mr. Rusty, what got you started in this sport? As I call it, muscle masculinity. Please share.
Andy, do you want to start this one? What got you started?
Yeah, we saw
you want to ask me first? Okay, well, basically, Rusty is what got me started in lifting weights. When I was 12 years old, I wanted my brothers to think that I was cool, and they were, Rusty had built this gym on our back porch in Tucson, Arizona, called the Torture Chamber. And for a while there, it was actually his bedroom too. And he actually made a bunch of the equipment, built the benches, and he welded together squat racks and things like that. And he made this awesome gym for us to train in. And I wanted, him and my other brother, Scott, who's a professional musician, to think that I was cool. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll go lift with them. And Rusty was nice enough to show me how to do some lifts and get started. And once I got started, I really got hooked because I felt like I have control over the way my body looks and feels. And I just always love feeling that power surging through my body. So, and I just love motion, makes me happy. Moving my body makes me happy. So that's how I got started.
Mm-hmm. And what about Mr. Rusty? What got you? Okay, go ahead.
Well, I was impressed with my uncles because they were so big and strong when I was a kid, and they were big football players. They played for the Air Force and the Navy or whatever they did. And, I remember Uncle John had shown me some lifts with some weights, and I was like, oh, cool. That's cool. And so I'd sneak into the weight rooms at the high schools or at a YMCA, and they'd kick me out. Hey, you're not old enough to be in here yet. And so I thought, well, I just have to build my own equipment, and they're not going to let me in to use any. So I just started putting together stuff, and I got better at it as time went on, So, now, I can build stuff. I'm selling a posing mirror now, so that I put together. We got a patent on it, and it's a back mirror with a bench that rolls around, and it's an adjustable thing, and you could put it in any gym.
It's super cool. Really great because, when you're getting ready for a contest, it is so critical that you can see what your back poses look like. Otherwise, you don't really know if you're flexing the right way for the judges when you get on stage. And this back mirror is awesome for that because, your coach can be there, moving things around, making comments, whatever, or you can even just guide it yourself to say, I want to put it here at this angle, and I'm going to be able to see what I need to see. And it doesn't require an entire posing room. All you need is like one big other mirror, and then this rolling mirror that Rusty designed. It's super cool.
That's great. I mean, it sounds something very innovative, especially if you look at how when you're training, your back is one of the most hardest parts to work on, and it's hard to see it because you can't see as good tail as we see your front. So then you might miss a few things. It's good that this is something you're padding, and something that's very revolutionary for the sport.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Rusty, you started right about, I would say, the good part of the '80s, and I would say that was, I think, somewhat, I would call it, for men's bodybuilding, it was kind of like the Silver Age. Like you just was Arnold was just retiring. You had Lee Haney being champion. A lot of the guys like Frank Zane and Franklin Colombo were still around. What was that experience for you like?
Well, I remember watching the Wild World of Sports and seeing Frank Zane win the Mr. Universe, and I think that was in '79, might have even been '78 because he won it like 3 years in a row from '77 and '79, I believe.
And that was on just regular TV, right?
Yeah, it was on the Wild World of Sports. We should see that guy flying down the hill and the agony of defeat, and that freaking crazy wipeout with that skier. Yeah,
yeah, because I remember bodybuilding used to come on like ABC and NBC used to show it, Fox and ESPN used to show it, but you don't see it now. You can watch cornhole and throwing darts on. I mean, what the hell? I mean, it's crazy. So we got some guests here coming through. I want to shout out my guests who come through. Shout out to my nephew Alex. We did a little talk yesterday. Alex says, "Hey George, nice to meet you, Rusty and Andrea. It's cool and refreshing to see bodybuilding siblings. Andrea, I thought you and everyone did great in the Triple O. In fact, I recently made that poster." Yeah, my man, he made that little poster. He tagged you in it with all the other ladies in it.
Thank you for making that poster. That was a really cool one.
Yeah, he's a really good kid. He's got a lot of talent. Yeah. Also, shout out to my man Dos. He's from Croatia. He says, "Hi everyone. Hi, my man Black Panther coming through. Shout out to Black Panther. He says this is women's bodybuilding is the greatest. He says George, you are the greatest. Appreciate that. Also, my man, he says Andrea looks absolutely beautiful. She is a little marvelous, but her husband's here, so y'all got it.
Thank you.
Command's in the corner. And my man Dos got also shout out to you, Mr. Russ. He says, "I like Rusty's mustache. It's like a classic handlebar style. How do you do like that?" So anyway, back in the day, that was bodybuilding. I think was classic around by that time, but it kind of evolved over time. When did you turn pro? What was that experience like when you got your pro card?
Go ahead, Andy.
Oh, okay. For me, it was so satisfying for me because I had basically, so I started bodybuilding. My first show was in 1982, and then I competed in several other shows, and then I took some time off to raise my kids because training. Let's see, 1 year after giving birth to my daughter in 1991, I competed in the 1992 Ms. Arizona and took first place. But that almost tore my marriage apart, and I had realized I got to make a choice here. Do I be a mom and wife, or do I spend that time just doing bodybuilding? And so I had to find the balance, and I was like, look, I can go back and be a bodybuilder anytime. And so then that's what I did in 2020. So I took the time off from 1992, and then I competed again in 2020. And I did the women's extravaganza at the Wings of Strength, and took first place in that. And then that year,
you got that sword, right?
Yeah. So I love winning swords. That's the best thing ever. I was like, forget the tiara, give me a friggin' sword or a battle axe. That's more my style. Anyway, then after let's see. So after the Wings of Strength contest, I went to the Masters USA, and I took second place. And it was so close. So I
It
didn't
was
get my pro
close.
card.
It was brutally close.
And then I went back the next year, and again I was in second place. So then it was in 2022 is when I did the Masters USA, and I finally got my pro card. So because I had been so close for those multiple years, then finally having that in my hands, and I got two of them because I got one for the 50 plus class and one for the 40 plus class. I was like, hell yeah, nobody's denying me now. So I was super, super happy and stoked about that. Then I competed in the 2023 Tampa Pro, and I think I talked about that on the last time I was on your show, that, they took away my protein powder at the airport and made me miss my flight. It would have taken 4 hours, ended up taking 12 hours, to get from, Arizona to Florida. And so I was so stressed. I didn't have the right food, and I just could not recover from that. So I did not look like I should have looked on stage at the Tampa Pro there. And so I ended up in last place in the Open. I still took 5th place at the Masters 50 and over and 55 and over. But anyway, so that's a long answer to your question of what was it like to get my pro card. It was super satisfying, and I was really happy that I did.
Well, that's the thing is you have to. I know ladies who, like yourself, who stepped away from the sport and came back, and then finally got the opportunity to get pro card. I know ladies who have competed as NPC for a long time before they finally got it. It's tough, especially how the sport has evolved over time, how the looks have changed from the era of people we go back to women like Corey Everson and men like Frank Zan to if you look at people currently now, one person that always, and y'all got to meet her when she was at my girlfriend Andrea Shaw.
Right. Yeah, she's amazing.
I can't help it. I just think she's so beautiful, because this is a story. This is a story I told your sister, Mr. Russ. My friend Eunice. I know you know Eunice. She's my friend too. And Eunice was at the Olympic back in 2023. And this was maybe just about a little bit after my birthday. And she sent me a text, said, George, something coming for you in the mail. And it was this issue of Muscle Development. You remember Muscle Development was probably one of the best magazines back in the day. This is the last hard copy they got. They're going digital now. And what makes it so special about it is she signed it for me.
Nice.
Cool.
I always want to bring that out. I always want to shout out my dear friend. I also always want to shout out my dear friend, Eunice of Bad Rep.
Yeah.
She told me that.
She's amazing.
And she told me y'all competed together back in the day, you and Eunice.
Yeah, they were at the Ironman one year together, right, Rusty?
Yeah. So for you, you turned pro, I think, around about the 2000s. What was that experience for you, Mr. Russ, when you finally got your pro card?
What was that?
What was that experience for you when you finally got your pro card?
Oh, well, I got my pro card in 2004. But what happened before that was you used to have to qualify every year to go to the nationals. So I would have to win a regional or a state show, and then I could compete in the USA and the nationals, right? So I did that 9 years in a row. I would have to win an overall title somewhere because back then, if you didn't win the overall, you didn't get qualified to go to the nationals. So I did that 9 years in a row. I did, I won a show somewhere, did the USA, did the nationals. And if I didn't place, I'd pick up and do it again. So I did that 9 years in a row before I finally, at the 2004 USA, I placed second to Chris Cook in the super heavyweights. And then the following weekend was the Masters Nationals. And I flew out there and I took the supers and the overall, and I got my pro card.
That was a good day.
But yeah, it was a long road. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a lot of work and dedication. Because I talk about this on my channel quite often, how people look at bodybuilders like, I just pop a couple of pills, I get big and huge. But if you're not sticking to consistency, if you don't do the diet, you don't follow a plan, it's not as easy as everybody thinks. We have some comments here.
Every time you lose a show, you gotta reevaluate everything you've done, right? Because you didn't do something right if you didn't win it. So you got to reevaluate everything: your diet, your training, how you looked in your poses, with your tan. Did that come out right? I mean, by the time you've done so many of them, you're going to get a lot of stuff right. I mean, pretty soon there's no more mistakes.
Yeah.
And that's what you're shooting for. You'll show up and you'll finally have everything right. And it's hard when, traveling to peaking on the road. That's no joke. I mean, it's you really got to know how your body reacts to traveling. And, that's why I try to get places a few days early so I don't have to worry about the flight, holding water from the flight, all that stuff.
I remember I interviewed a couple of ladies who did the Masters Olympia. They did the Masters Olympias last year in Japan. And that's like a 14, 15-hour flight. And, and it's just, you got to think about it. You sit there, water retention can happen. Also jet lag. I know one lady, she did a show in
jet
Romania.
lag's horrible. I did the Masters O in 23, and it was out in Romania. And, I got there a few days early so I could get back to normal, which definitely helped. But you have to do that. If you don't do that, you're going to be all stressed from the flight, and you're just not going to look your best.
Yeah, you can come in flat.
Especially when you got those freaking 14-hour flights, or, I know we had to land like somewhere in Turkey or something, Istanbul or something, and spend a half a day there and then take another 6-hour, 8-hour flight. And it's like, it's a full 24 hours worth of flying around, get where you're going, especially in some of those, countries that are so far away.
Yeah. One thing I've never done is I've been on a train, but I've never been on a plane. I think about going to a show coming up sometime soon. I was thinking about getting myself a real ID, but then I saw that because of my size, it's hard. They charge you double for a ticket depending on the airplane. So I might go by a train, but hoping I might work on my way a little bit. Maybe in the future I'll get on one. We have here some comments. Shout out to our man Nodo says, in bodybuilder career, did they still have something to accomplish, or they are satisfied with all things they are done by now?
I'm not done yet.
I got a couple shows left in me, I think.
Yeah.
like my favorite character from the movie Tombstone, Doc Holliday, late Val Kilmer. He says, I'm not retired. I'm still in my prime. So,
I'm in my prime.
Yeah, in my prime. Get the Doc Holliday mustache and beard too. I should wear my Doc shirt. We got here the lovely Mr. Doug Wellington. It says this: they live till they die.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, whether we compete or not till we die, that's another story. But lifting is just part of what we do to be happy people.
Yeah.
To be a healthy human being, you got to have some type of an exercise that you do. Some people bicycle, some people like to hike, some people play. What's that new thing everybody's playing now? Pickleball.
Yeah.
But you got to have something that you enjoy to do. That's exercise, and for us, it's lifting.
Right, and it's not just for your muscles or just for your heart; it's for your brain as well.
Yeah, I remember when I was in high school, I used to love lifting weights. I was like, by the time I was 16, I was already doing 350 on the bench press. I was doing 550 on the squat because I was a country boy. We did a lot of heavy work like that. I mean, this is a true story, Mr. Russ. When I was playing on my football team, and one of my teammates actually, George, you strong, said, yeah, because you ever have some, son? Say, why? He said, you mean that? No. He said, well, son, he caught strong. That's what he said. He told me. It's old term country anomaly. We call you cock strong. We got here shot to my man Dose. He says, did they ever compete against each other? Like who can make the more reps, bench press, lots other things?
No, not really.
Well, we kind of see if we could out leg rep each other on a couple of occasions.
Yeah, but then of course we have to adjust the weights a little bit, right? But yeah, we've had some pretty intense training sessions together, that's for sure. Especially like around holidays, when all the other gyms are closed, we'd get together and train in Rusty's gym, and yeah, it's always a good time.
Yeah. Well, we have here something also. Mr. Doug has something to say here. He says, George asked him about Sunday Mass.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, those are good days. Yeah. Go ahead, Russ.
Well, I would put legs on Sundays because we would do them so hard that you were just useless for the rest of the day. So you couldn't do it on a weekday if you had to work or anything. So, so we would get together with a bunch of buddies or whatever and just beat each other up for 2-3 hours sometimes on legs. And we called it Sunday Mass, It's good when you have a couple extra guys because you can do pylon sets or you can do strip sets. There's a lot more you can do when you have extra people,
Or piggyback rides up the little hill by the house.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
at the end, well, there's always a
Yeah.
surprise exercise at the end
Yeah.
of Sunday Mass, and it would be like, "Hey, we got this freaking cart. Remember the cart that Honey used to have?
Yeah.
We'd
Yeah.
throw everybody in this little horse cart, and we'd have them race up the hill,
Yeah.
Yeah, do like the
Or
old Rocky
take that big
Balboa.
log. Remember that giant log we used to have, and we'd do a lunge across the street. We'd be shaking like, "Holy crap! Like, whose idea was this?"
Right.
We kind of used to do that as kids too. We had cinder blocks, and we had wood blocks, and used to just lift around. Because we lived at the country. We didn't have we had a good old fashioned wood burning stove. But yeah, that's amazing. It's kind of like I referred to an episode of my favorite show, Chappelle Show. It's like Leg Day for a Bodybuilder is like an episode where Rick James go to visit Eddie and Charlie Murphy at the house, and he says, "F your couch, Eddie Murphy," and they're bigging his legs. Like that's Leg Day for a bodybuilder. Folks, we got some nice pictures here. Andrea sent to me, and here's one, and this seems like this is the family. I know Mr. Doug, and I see you, Mr. Russ, and who's the other three people in the picture?
So my mom is standing right next to Rusty.
Oh,
And
he's
then
just as pretty as your mama.
Yeah. And then my brother-in-law, Kurt, is right behind my mom. And between Kurt and I is my sister, Jen. She's the oldest of the four of us kids. And she's amazing on a bicycle. None of us can keep up with her on a bicycle.
Yeah, she's like an endurance athlete, like crazy.
Yeah, big time. So she doesn't like doing much of the indoor kind of working out stuff. Very much of an outdoorsy girl.
Yeah. So she's the oldest. Who is the baby? Who is the very middle?
I'm the baby. So Jen is the oldest, and then there's Rusty, and then our musician brother Scott. He's got an amazing band, Scott Jeffers Traveler, and he's been playing music since he was 12 years old, 14 years old. He's amazing and plays like 20 different instruments. Super cool. Anyway, and then I'm the youngest of the four.
So you're the baby girl.
I'm the baby girl. Yeah.
She's spoiled ass. She's spoiled ass. Just admit it. She's spoiled. Because the baby's always we're the middle children, Mr. Russ. We have to fight for our love. My mother, don't you love us? But the baby always get all the love because that's the last one.
Yeah, the baby got the love. Yeah.
Yeah, get all the love. We have to fight for our love. You baby.
We'd try to get away from Andy, and she would ride up the hill on her bicycle, and we're like, God, I can't believe she freaking rode all the way up that damn steep hill on that bicycle.
I would just straight up.
And we're like, look at those freaking legs cranking. Jesus.
Well, that's what she got, some great legs. I think that's what she got.
Yeah, it started somewhere. Yep.
Somewhere. Yeah, we got here. Shout out to our man Nodos. He's dropping this. He says, in Rusty 40 years of competing in bodybuilding, what has the most embarrassed situation he ever crossed to, and the most satisfying situation he ever crossed to? That's also a question to Andrea. Go
ahead, Russ.
Go ahead.
What was it, the most embarrassing situation?
Yeah. Like pertaining to bodybuilding?
I think just missing your peak completely and showing up just completely spilled over, and you're like, oh my God, this is embarrassing. So here's the thing, everybody sees you on that stage, especially at a national stage, the whole entire audience is filled thousands of people, and they're looking at you like, oh my God, if you missed it, and you were too stressed from the flight and everything, and you carved up on something that didn't work for you, and you just looked horrible. Yeah, that was one of my times where I showed up and I was like, okay, that's embarrassing.
Yeah, it's tough because you know what? It takes a lot of work, time, patience, consistency. It's not as easy when it comes to any other sport, especially bodybuilding, because it can be a lot when you're trying to grow certain parts of your body, trying to build to a certain level when you are in competition shape. In off season, that's also tough because you have to work on things and and build this and that. And it's just, for those who are not bodybuilders like myself, it's just a lot to do and take.
But it's your reputation up there, you know what I mean?
Right.
And that's what's embarrassing about it, because you're supposed to be this expert, and then you show up looking like crap, it's like, well, get a load of this dude,
They'd be like, what happened? But anybody who's in the business,
that most satisfying thing I think was, it was I want to say 99. might have been the LA championships, but it was before they split the supers and the heavies, right? So all these giant guys were in there, you know, and Quincy Taylor was in that lineup, and it was before he turned pro. It was before I turned pro, but I had just nailed it that day, and I came in and I looked really super sharp, and I ended up winning that show against all these big dudes, and I was like, holy crap, you know, but I was balanced and I could pose, and the California judging panels at the time really liked guys who were balanced and were lean and that could pose, right? The package, you know what I mean? You know, so I ended up winning that show, and I was, you know, that was probably one of the most satisfying ones to actually win, you know, go out to another state and take the overall, you know.
Nice.
And what about you, Andy?
Well, for me, I think probably the most embarrassing thing in bodybuilding was just being on that Tampa stage looking much punier than I should have. That was really just so disappointing because so much work went into that. And then here I am standing there like, how did I get so small? Like, so I actually used that to fuel me every freaking workout in the gym after that. I was like, I will not be small. So I was like training hard. Like, I'm not going to go through that pain again. But it wasn't just that my muscles were small. It was that they were in a situation of so much cortisol. I could not get them to fill with glycogen for the life of me, right? So there was a lot going on with my physiology at that time. But anyway, that was embarrassing. And I think probably the most rewarding thing, it'd be a toss-up between when I got back to bodybuilding after taking 18 years off and got back on stage after having raised my kids and feeling comfortable where that part of my life was, feeling comfortable where my career was. And then, you know, to be on stage and like, I can actually do this again. Like, I didn't know I could. I was thinking, oh, maybe I'm going to be, you know, have too much flabby skin or whatever. And I actually did quite well. So that was, you know, probably one of the most exhilarating parts of my bodybuilding career. But then also just at this Triple O Dynasty, you know, being able to be on stage that day on the best shape of my life, the DEXA
She would look her best.
The DEXA scan said I was
she nailed it.
Body fat, and this was all after having actually torn my hamstring. I didn't know it was torn at the time. I tore it off the bone on March 1st. So this is like a month before the show. I don't have a functional hamstring, right? So I had to finish up that entire prep without doing the right, like normally at that point, you're like doing glutes every day and training, like my legs are a weaker point now. So I'm trying to hit them hard, but I couldn't after that. It's like, you know, so it was really difficult to adapt my training to this situation. But what I did was that, you know, like I said, I didn't know it was torn at the time. Finally, I had an MRI like last week. Now I know it's torn, and so I'm going to get surgery for it. But, you know, I just kind of, you know, try to do the things that I knew to help it. And then I called Rusty for like, okay, I know you've been injured before coming into a show. What do you recommend I do? And he said, you know what, just tough it out. You can get through it. Just, you know, work on, you know, holding your poses in such a way that it's not accentuating the hurt part. And then do everything you can and make it through, because you've come this far. You don't want to let go. And so I'm glad I got that advice from him, because it was just like, okay, Rusty says go, I'm going. So it's good to have support behind me. And then of course my husband is always there to help out and is like, whatever you want to do, I'm with you.
Yeah, that's good that your big brother looked out for you and wants you to accomplish your dreams.
He's been through all this, right? With 40 years of competing, you know, he knows it. He's been through it. He knows the pain. He's had surgeries and then come back to kick ass again, you know? So one thing when we were talking about Rusty's posing is I recommend anybody who's listening to just, you know, go on YouTube and look up Rusty Jeffers posing routines, you know, bodybuilding posing routines. He's amazing with the way he puts together his poses and to the music and everything. It's almost like a lost art. A lot of people don't put much time into their posing. They just, you know, they do a routine and it's like, there's no grace to it. There's no excitement to it. You do have a few people now that have really good stage presence, like Salika Given. I love watching her pose because she just, she's amazing. And so it's like that. That's kind of the same feeling you get when you see Rusty pose. Is that you can tell he's in his element. He knows what he's doing, and he's just, the way he moves is so cool. So I recommend people go look that up. Yeah,
and Mr. Rose, who do you think was back in the day when you were coming up? Who was like a great poser? Who had that great movement and skill that re-inspired you to be a poser?
Frank Zane was a Mr. Olympia at the time, way back when, and you know, Mike Mentzer was a big influence on me, and I actually did Casey Viator's yard work, so he would train me as a teenager, and so I kind of looked up to the kind of the old school guys, and back then the posing was actually scored, that they actually put that as part of the criteria. So everybody had to be a good poser back then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think it was more like if you compare it to now, the guys are more bigger, they're a little bit not as well.
It's almost like they're just comparing engines. It's like, okay, here's the mandatories. Okay, now that's how they're going to judge the whole entire thing. You know what I mean? Which, I mean, granted, that should be a good substantial part of it, but the artistic side of it, there should be something there too. I think,
Yeah.
if you really get to know how to put together something that's really inspiring,
Where we have a comment for Mrs. For Mrs. Wellington's bridegroom, and that's Mr. Doug. He's saying this, he's saying, give me a second, let me pull it up. He just said, how do they train through injuries?
You actually sort of went through that already.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just saw it a while ago, but yeah, he can hear, Mr. Doug, he's sitting there.
Yeah.
So but folks, we'll jump into the social media for a little bit. If you want to follow, the links are in the description of this live. If you're interested in supporting them, they're nice people. I know for you guys, you come here for the women, you like the ladies, but I know people out there, you like the guys too. But don't be weird. Don't show no weird shit, no nothing, no problem. Mr. Doug's right there in the next room. Mr. Russ, I know his woman's there. She don't want no problem.
That's
so,
right.
Folks, if you want to follow these two, reach out to them with genuine interest and support. So, when jumping to social media for a bit, we're going to start off with wait a minute here. Wait a second. And we have here the last we saw. This was when you were training, and you look just wow. You look like you jacked, babe.
Oh yeah, the one where I'm doing the front. Yeah.
Yeah, you just look jacked. I mean, and KB is she's a woman of maturity. I'm not gonna say age, I respect, but it's just wow. It's like this is a good example of muscle maturity, and I can see the strong genetic connection y'all two have, especially on the shoulders and the arms. Good detail.
Yeah.
And this is also a little video from the final pose down. We love.
Yeah.
I took that and I posted on my IG and I tagged you in it. I mean, it's beautiful when we see our ladies come together. Like,
Yeah.
I remember back in the day, Mr. Rush. Remember when you used to do final pose down to the man? Y'all got the guys be like bustling in and just trying to move and get spots. Y'all women, y'all too nice.
Yeah, I didn't feel comfortable jumping in front of everybody. I didn't feel. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I was trying to squeeze in, so that people in the audience could see me between the other bodies. I didn't feel any need to barge anybody out of the way. It's not my style.
Nah. Miss Well, you gotta, you gotta be You gotta push in this. Hey, I'm coming here. I'm coming here. I'm coming to help these young girls. You gotta be a bully sometimes. Here is also a nice picture of them together. Brother and sister. I think this was the Masters USA's back in, I think it was 2022, right?
That picture is from 2020 when I finally got back on stage. I think is the muscle contest. Let's see. Oh yeah, actually that is. Sorry. Yeah, I've seen the muscle contest back there. Then I think that is from the Masters.
So we jump into Mr. Rusty's here, and here is a video him at the Emerald Cup.
Nice.
This past weekend.
Yeah.
And again, this man is 60 plus. And I feel ashamed that he just, what was that feeling like? Because when the last time you competed since then, Mr. Russ?
Been 2 years. I did the Chicago Pro in 24. And I did the 50 and the 55 class, and I won those.
Yeah.
Then I hadn't competed for 2 years because I had to I made a move across country. I moved to Pennsylvania, and so from Arizona to Pennsylvania was a big move, and
Yeah.
A lot of life changes there. Yeah.
Yeah. Pennsylvania, that's the center of seat of power. You have the Mannions there, and there's quite a few shows. The Pittsburgh Pro's coming up in about a couple of weeks.
Yep.
If you know, for women's bodybuilding, Andy, it's going to be kind of a drought. We won't see no shows till
Right.
Toronto, and there's a couple of shows coming up. And you just heard that, Anastasia Ryder, she just got the money up for
Right.
the Tampa Bay show, and that's
That's
great.
awesome for the Tampa Pro. Yeah.
Yeah, and but the sad part, we don't have Chicago, and we're not part of New York. Here's a classic video, of Mr. Russ training.
Yeah. Demonstrating.
That's an old footage. That footage is like freaking 40 years old, dude. That was in my garage.
Yeah, this stuff has been coming across my my social media feed recently, though. So someone's posting it, even if it's not you. It's still you.
People like the classics. That's what it is. They like the classic look because you look at guys like Nick Walker, you look at Andrew Jack, you look at Samson Dewar. Actually, I was at Tampa. I got to meet Derek Lungford because he was there because Eunice had her bad rap booth there, and I was there hanging out, helping her out. And he was there looking at the stuff and talking to us. Anybody now currently, both of y'all think really is the face of your sport that really represents bodybuilding, either divisions?
Well, I think basically Andrea Shaw is an awesome representative for what women's bodybuilding is and should be, with her full muscle bellies and just the femininity that she's got huge muscles and also being feminine at the same time. I love that, and she's just such a wonderful person, and she's super graceful, and I really admire her a lot. I think she's great.
Yeah, she's an amazing person. I've interviewed quite a few ladies who know her, who worked with her. I mean, she represents, I think, of a great look, because I think one thing about when you're a woman in the sport, you get a lot of flack. With guys, you don't get as much because men are allowed to have muscles, to be big, to be muscular. But women, it's a lot of prejudices. I mean, a conversation we had about how people make comments like if you like a woman with muscle, you're gay. I don't think Mr. Doug is gay. If you are a woman with muscle, you look as just something different. And Mr. Russ, I have to admit my crime. I am a muscle person. I love the ladies, but I respect what you do as a bodybuilder and as a competitor. And what fuels you in this sport?
Yeah, so Russ, what fuels you in the sport now?
What fuels you? What gets you?
What gets you going?
And do what you do.
Well, I still feel I'm competitive, and I got a competitive nature to me, so I want to see what I can do against everybody,
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of like where mine comes from.
We got here from my nephew Alex. It says this. He says, Rusty, have you met any other famous bodybuilders throughout those past decades? And Andrea, since you mentioned you are a scientist, what type of science do you study in? So let's go ladies first. We got to go with the baby. She's the baby girl.
Okay, so actually, I just retired from my job. I was a research scientist at the University of Arizona for 36 years. And after I had 3 family members die of not old age in a 1.5 year time span, I was like, you know what? Time is limited. I'm going to spend my time doing what I really love doing, which means, more time for bodybuilding and more time for riding motorcycles and more time to be with my husband and my family and visit my grandkids in Nebraska and all that good stuff. So I retired, but basically the work that I was doing most recently, that's a picture of me on my HP4 race bike at the track. Super fun. And that's me. That was just yesterday. We were at Podium Club riding, had a great time sitting on my lovely bike.
This is my personal favorite.
You know what? That day I rode all day and I had no carbs. And, I was getting ready for the show. That was like a week or 2 before the Triple O Dynasty. And so that's why I am not smiling in that picture. I did not have the energy to smile. Barely had energy to hit the post, but got it done. Anyway, the type of research that I did, if you can see this picture behind me, that's a confocal microscope image from a mouse retina. And so what I used to do, we use a mouse model of diabetes. We also have a mouse model of Parkinson's disease and Alzheimer's disease. And the part of the job that I would do is I would immunostain those retinas from the mice, which is the neural tissue in the back of the eye. And then we would label different proteins in there and then look for changes between the disease state and the healthy state. And so a lot of my images have actually been in bioart shows. And I've won a couple of image contests with my mouse retina images over the years. And I've been like basically kind of the lab manager for labs for most of my career. So it's worked out to be a great career for me, and that I enjoyed doing that kind of work. But when it came to the point of do I spend 8 hours a day mentoring students and doing this research, or do I spend 8 hours a day with really things that I can't replace and nobody else on the planet can do, which is live my life and do what I want to do. So I decided I'm doing what I want to.
Yeah. And with you, Mr. Russ, for you, like your experience being in sport for a long time, the people you met and the people that you worked with,
early on, I was training at Carlos Rodriguez's gym in Tucson, and I used to see Carlos Rodriguez and Marlon Darton. Marlon was one of the first guys that had over 24-inch arms, just enormous, but those guys were inspirational. I used to just watch what they did and try to copy it,
You ever get to meet Arnold, Lou Ferrigno, Lou? You ever met those gentlemen?
I met Lou once in Venice Beach, at the Venice Golds. I was down there doing a photo shoot, and I was just training one day, and I was doing some type of a row, and he's like, "You're doing that wrong." He goes, I learned the hard way. You need to do it like this. And he showed me how to do it. I was like, well, right on. Okay, I guess I'll listen,
He's a Cripple Hulk.
But Lou was a nice guy. I thought he was a real nice guy.
Yeah, he's a Cripple Hulk.
I trained with Lee Priest for about a year when he was in Arizona, and we beat each other up pretty good.
You guys, there was a magazine. Was that Muscular Development?
It was Robert Kennedy's magazine, whatever that one was.
Muscle Mag International, I think.
Muscle Mag, yeah.
But we had like 5 issues in a row of our workouts. They took us up to Canada and filmed us for a whole week. It was awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, great opportunity. I used to collect those magazines. We have here, shout out to my man here, Dose. He says, did they ever compete in Europe? Well, I know Mr. Russ said he did Romania. Were there any other shows you did in Europe, or was just Romania was your first time?
No, Romania. I competed in Australia a couple of times, and I competed in Romania. Those are pretty much the only overseas shows I've done.
Yeah, we have here. This is from a man, PLJ. He says this. He has a comment for lovely Miss Wellington. Says, "Hi, how much more size will you add, Andrea?
Well, my main thing is I'm gonna need to add some size to my legs, but it's gonna take some time to do that because, like I mentioned, I have this torn hamstring, so I'm getting surgery for it at the end of May, and it's gonna be quite a bit of recovery to get that to be able to actually handle the weight that it's going to require to add mass to my legs. I mean, I'm using things like blood flow restriction cuffs right now so I can get a little more benefit out of using lighter weights. But yeah, so I'm going to definitely add quite a bit of size to my quads and hamstrings. I'm not sure how much I'd love to add more to my shoulders because you can never have 2 big shoulders, right? Yeah, I don't know. We'll kind of play it by ear and see. It's like, to me, it's like you can't ever really be too big, right? So I'll just see how big I can get.
Yeah. And who's y'all coaches? Who's y'all working with now? Because
my coach is Rafe Tyke, and then also I get support from Rusty as well, as far as when I have extra questions and things like that. But yeah, and Rusty started me out years ago with doing my coaching. But yeah, Rafe Tyke helps me now, and he's helped his wife be on the Olympia stage. So I figure he knows something about what.
Yeah, Rafe knows what he's doing. He's good.
Yeah, his wife, Melissa Tyke, as you know, Melissa took a step back. She's not going to compete, but she's going to focus on helping and training competitors. But we love to see her come back.
She's still training her ass off. You should see her. I just saw her in the gym on Saturday. She looks amazing. She looks like she's ready to step on stage tomorrow. I mean,
you never know because
everything.
Because I just did an interview with Hella Trevino. Hella just announced her retirement. She's working with her, Irene Anderson, and Gina. They're doing the Team 4 Pro thing. That's an amazing lady. It's like I said again, this sport is about what is more important for you. Like you said, you retired from your job and you focus on your family because you have family members that pass. And what you're doing research, especially I'm pre-diabetic. My mother, she was diabetic, also was doing Alzheimer's. I appreciate that because that helps a lot of people who are going through that. Shout out to my man No Dose. He says this. He has a question. Says, what's their favorite show?
As in like contest to compete in?
Yeah.
Okay. I really liked the way that the Triple O Dynasty was run. And part of the reason for that is that they had the pro part of it. They like it's just two classes of women. And so it was relatively quick and very efficient. And so like we go in and we're on stage for the first time at 9 a.m. We're done by noon. And so you don't have to try to stay peaked for like 12 hours straight, right? Like there were times in the past when like at the women's extravaganza at Wings of Strength before I turned pro, where I'm on stage at 8 a.m. for prejudging, and I wasn't on stage again for the night show until like 6 p.m. And so all that time you're having to kind of track your water and your salt and your carb intake and everything, and then you're showing pictures to your coach and trying to get feedback and all these things, and it's a little bit stressful. So I really enjoyed the Triple O Dynasty for that reason.
And you, Mr. Rusty?
Yeah, your favorite show you competed in?
Favorite show?
Yeah.
Peaky Blinders.
What's that?
That's like a
TV
series,
show.
But
okay,
no.
I'm not familiar.
But the show you like to do if you ever get a chance to do it again, if you can.
The last few shows I've done have all been very well run. This last Emerald Cup, they did a really good job with it. I think they've over the years have developed a better system, to make it so it's smoother, So, but yeah, the Emerald Cup is definitely a good show to do. I would do it again.
Yeah, it's a master show. It does have women's bodybuilding, it has physique and other divisions, but I did shout out to a couple ladies who did this show. One of the interview, she also did the Triple O, Lisa Hutchinson, so she got her Master's O qualification for next year.
Nice.
We got here, shout out to my man Dose. He also has asked this question. Says, "What's their favorite movie?" You have a movie you like,
Falling Down.
Which one is that?
Michael Douglas. Yeah, is that the one with Michael Douglas? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a bad day.
Like, look at this little sorry-looking thing. It doesn't look like the picture.
He's shooting against the price of things. We're going back to the 50s. Sorry, dude, can't go back. That's not over, but it's a classic. Mr. Douglas just retired himself from acting at 81 years old. I mean,
I don't know. Law-Abiding Citizen was pretty good too.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, can't forget what's the one with him and Glenn Close? God, I remember that. That's a classic. I remember from the TV show The Street for San Francisco, back in the day when I was a kid. It used to come on television. Shout out here to my man Lawrence Perkins. He says this. He says, "Hello, Andrea, Rusty, George, and everyone in the chat. Thank you, brother." Also, he says Muscle Development magazines happened back in early 2000 as well. They go farther back, brother. Also, he says this. He says, "Just want to let you know, Andy and Russ, keep on your legacy alive to inspire people around the world. The art of muscle saves lives and helps the strength of tempo as well." Yeah. Shout out to my man Lawrence. So with you dealing with your injury now this year, maybe take some time to really grow. And with you coming back to the stage, Mr. Russ, what are your plans for competition this year? Are you going to do any more shows, or you feel like you want to take more time?
Yeah, Russ, are you doing more shows this year?
I haven't really decided yet. We'll see.
Mm-hmm. And what's for your injury, Andy? What would show you would love to do that you think you want to do?
Well, I think I might do the Triple O Dynasty again when I come back, and then actually, I have my sights set on doing the Masters Pro World when I'm 60 because they have a 60 and up class, and Rusty competed that in the past, and I thought that'd be cool if I could compete there too.
It's great. You know?
Maybe we'll do it the same year.
Yeah, you know,
We'll pay the 60+ class.
yeah,
And
it'd be like the brother
the
sister.
supplement that is our favorite supplement is a supplement called Humanifort.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he said. Also, we got here from a man. It says Ref is a great coach. She made Melissa into a very competitive bodybuilder. You know, he also to my man Lawrence says, I'm just can in the says I just can't in for the little bit. I just came in for a little bit. You need spell because I keep eyes on the weather because my state is under a tornado watch until 9 p.m. Ooh, yeah.
Yikes.
We have a little storm here earlier the week. Had a lot of rain, stuff like that. Weather's changing, it's getting warmer. You know how it is. Also, he says Triple Dynasty was a great show. Y'all did amazing job on stage. We got here from Haley, if it's Hallie Robbie or whatever, I can't pronounce his name. Says hi, my man. P says I hope in the future the judges are rewarding bigger size in women's bodybuilding. Well, the thing is, if you look at the divisions now, have it evolved over time. Like if you look compared to from like people from Corey Everson to Andrea Shaw, or from the Frank Zanes to guys like Derek Lumford. You see it how it has changed, and you see it seems like now it seems like it's so close. Guys in men's classic are getting big as guys in open, and you saw that Chris Bumstead, he did an open show before he retired his last Olympia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm curious how they're going to keep the lines separated between the different classes too. In that regard, the classic bodybuilding versus the regular. And Rusty, one question I had for you is, I noticed that they had a classic bodybuilding class, but you chose not to compete in that. I was curious why.
I can't make the weight. I'm too heavy for the height.
Oh, of course. I forgot about the weight thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think the same thing because that's one thing about 212. That's why Arnold doesn't have it at his show anymore because he doesn't like it. He doesn't have. Other thing he has is open and men's classic and men's physique. And then he just has when you come to the women's side, you have bikini and you got wellness and you have fitness. And there's a new division, as I call it, the basket division. I call it fit model. Excuse me. Ha! I'm like this. I'm bodybuilding. Even though I've been a fan of because bodybuilding for women, especially men, those are two of the architect divisions. If it wasn't for those divisions, the others wouldn't be around. And the guys will keep on going because you got a lot more support, a lot more attention. But it's a struggle, as you know. The women's bodybuilding just started a whole thing with a group chat, trying to find support. Quite a few ladies are involved in that. And, the sport is evolving over time, as you said again, the looks, the size. Like when your last shows, as you remember, what was the critique you got from your judge, Mr. Russ? What did he tell you?
Yeah, Russ, did you get any critique from the judges?
Judges?
No, I kind of know what I need to do. I've had a few minor injury type things that I need to kind of deal with in order to get these body parts to respond a little better and stuff. So I know exactly what I need to do. I can look at the posing routine and go, yep, need a little bit more width on the back. Yep. Mm-hmm. Could use a little more, separation in the glute hams, you can just see it. I don't need the judge to tell me. I know.
That's good that you understand because you've been competing for quite some time. But a lot of competitors, especially the newer young competitors, always want to get feedback from judges. One person I wouldn't take his word for a grain of salt is Tyler Mannion. He is an old saying. He's still wet behind the ear and breath smell like Similac. I mean, his thing is this sport is about understanding the factors of growth, size, development, the process of training, like especially. As I'm a big dude. I'm a fat man. I like food, especially after that long, hard prep and you've been hungry, hangry, and you're tired. I know Mr. Doug took you out to eat, Miss Wellington, Miss Andy. And what did you have for each of you, what was that thing you had to
Actually,
enjoy?
so after the Triple O Dynasty, Rusty he'd flown down from Pennsylvania to come see me compete, and so after we finished our post-show pose down in the courtyard, we went over to Cheesecake Factory. That's kind of been our tradition, and Rusty started with a slice of carrot cake, and then yeah, that was cool, and then. I had like I think it was Bang Bang chicken and shrimp, and it wasn't anything crazy, you know. And then I did have they had a pineapple upside down cake cheesecake that I've never tried before there, and the way the waiter described it sounded amazing. So I was like, you know what, I think I'm gonna have that cheesecake. So that's what I had as my little victory meal. So Rusty, what did you eat after the Emerald Cup?
My buddy Rich took me out to this sushi place that he's like, oh, you got to try this sushi place out. It's freaking great. You know, they bake these rolls and everything. And so, you know, all right, cool. So I went there. It was really good.
Yum.
Sushi. Ma'am, sir, I grew up poor, but never so poor. I eat cold raw fish, but the roll sounds pretty good. They heat it up real good. We have your comment here from my man here. Shout out to my man. Noto says, what Rusty and Andy like and don't like towards the judges in the last 40 years, and basically towards bodybuilding shows. So, you know, he's asking what do you like or don't like the changes that have changed over the years, especially with you, Mr. Rusty, like how you've been competing along. What other things you've seen have changed that you feel like just you wouldn't mind going back to the old days?
I would say I would like them to maybe consider the posing routines as part of the judging criteria.
Yeah, I'd like to see that too. So I think that would help everything. It would help the shows be more entertaining to everybody as well. I think if we did it that way, where people would actually, there's a reason to put some effort into making an awesome posing routine rather than, oh, it's just a stupid requirement.
I think one thing, posing is a very important part of the process because you need to do it because the judges want to see a certain look, a certain flow. You know, you have your mandatories, and that's when you start for the pre-judging, and then the finals you have that where you want to really present yourself like a little dainty buff ballerina on stage. You know, you want to bring a certain class to it. But some people, you know, I think, like, again, we go back to a lot of young competitors who want to I just want to flex and do that and rah, 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 rah. You know, it's just, I think everybody has different tastes, but I think, you know, if what has worked in the past worked before, maybe we should stick to it. So here we have shout out to my man, P says, how do people react when they see both of you in public?
They want to take a picture of us sometimes. They want, can we take a picture with you?
Yeah.
I had a lot of that this weekend.
At Cheesecake Factory, just after the Triple O Dynasty, the one little boy was really amazed with Rusty's biceps, and his dad came up and said, "Those are the biggest biceps we've ever seen." Like, yep.
I think with children, they're just so genuine because you look at something, you know, like a man or woman with muscles, like superheroes. Like here we got the pictures here with them together, you know, because out to, you know, Andrea, she's seen these pictures. Y'all look really, you know, too bad, you know what, too bad can't do like, you know, back in the day, you remember used to have.
Couples.
Yeah, couples.
Mixed pairs,
Mixed pairs. I mean, you know.
Yeah, they kind of phased that out.
Yeah, I remember.
That's a good shot. Dang.
Yeah. I remember it was Diane Dennis, and she was Kevin. I think what was Kevin's last name? I remember his last. I forgot it. I remember Tony Pearson. He was pretty popular. He worked with Laura Craval, Carla Dunlap. He did a lot of posing with a lot of ladies back in the day. He did some you know single stuff, but he was more popular in the mixed pairs.
Yeah,
you know. So you know, as the sport evolved over time, what y'all two think really can need to really make it to get more attention? Because you know, remember back in the day, you should be on television. You can catch it on Worldwide Sports, ESPN, ABC. What would probably help it to get more attention? Because one thing is always been an issue about steroids, but it's so easy to point that finger at it. But it's almost in every other sport, and it's used in just everything from, as you know, you're a scientist, you'll say that it's used for recovery or helping out, you know, with people with cancer.
Yeah, so I think I don't think there's any hope it's ever going to be on like regular TV. And especially if you look at the way that social media is right now, so many people, they don't even bother with TV anymore. They're just watching what they're already interested in. Right. And so I think what we need to do is just try and catch more people to help them see that there's a pathway that they could become a bodybuilder if they're interested in that. Right. And that I think sometimes you may be the first time you ever see a super muscular woman, you're like, what the hell? Just because it's different, right? And then once you see it a lot, you're like, oh, okay, this is normal. And I think a lot of times, you have kids who grow up playing with, little toys or whatever, and all the boys' toys, they look like kind of like Rusty, right? Like what they have, all the superheroes have muscles, right? Whereas the female Barbie doll doesn't really have muscles, does she? She's got other parts. So it's like, if we can kind of change things around a little bit and we have more of the superheroes, like, when they did the more recent Wonder Woman movie, I think they could have done a lot better if they used somebody with some more muscle, right? Because it's like, look, you need strength to be able to do these things, right? Just like He-Man needed his strength.
Yeah, He-Man's coming back. Yeah, new He-Man movie coming out. And what about you, Mr. Russ? What you feel like what could help, your sport evolve and get more recognition, more opportunities?
More. I think that I think it's doing fine with social media because everybody can just look at whatever they want to see, and if it's just if you have a friend who's in it, well, you're going to go and look up their show. You know what I mean? So, I mean, with social media, I think it already did it for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
I grew up era. Social media was, I think, when I started getting into it was maybe around about the late 90s, early 2000s. And, I used to, as I admit my crime, I must personally, it used to be sites like, you go on, you check out, you follow and now you have IG, you have TikTok, you have, so many platforms, and it can be a tool in your purpose as you evolve as an athlete, but also it can be hindering because also, as I said earlier, people can.
But you can look up anything you want, though.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and follow whoever you want.
I mean, it's right at your fingertips. Like if you want to look up everything that Mike Mincer ever did, you can look it up. Pull everything up.
Yeah. It's disposable, but sometimes what it is also how people react to, with men, you get a little more leeway, but still you have people might have something of issue because you got muscles. They're always accusing you of using this or that. With women, I think as in my channel, we focus a little bit on the women. It's the hard part of how the idea of what it is, because we grew up in a time where women were supposed to be dainty and feminine. I know with your mother, when she was raising y'all kids and y'all working out in the gym, like, what was that like for y'all when we were coming up, like with your parents, seeing their little baby girl trying to get muscles and,
It's just the way it was, right? Like they didn't seem to.
Our parents were pretty supportive about everything we did. I mean, they never really put their foot down and said, no, you can't do this,
Right.
They were just happy we were getting busy and not being in trouble,
Right. Yeah. And then when I got stronger with things and I would tell them that, I was able to do this today, they're like, oh, yay, So it was good. They were super supportive.
That's good, because I know I've talked to ladies who have to deal with either sometimes friendships change because you're doing something very different, like you hang out with somebody back in the day and then because you change your lifestyle, you can't go to a club or you may not go here. You say, I got to get up in the morning because I got to do fast cardio. I got to get in the gym in time before all the broccoli head kids and the people on their phones get in the way. And, it's something you have to be, as I said again, have to be persistent, dedicated to, discipline, because one thing is about motivation. That can change with the wind. You can get up one morning and say, you know what? I feel good. I want to go do a little run. And then it might be raining one day and say, nah, I think I'm going to lay in the bed and go to sleep, eat a bonbon.
It's not the way we think, actually. I think Russ is probably the same way, but it's like we know that going to the gym and sticking to our training plan, and if we're getting ready for a show, sticking to the diet, that's what makes us happy. That's where we get our dopamine hit. So it's like we are motivated because we know we want that dopamine hit from knowing we did everything we could that day to get ready for that show. Yeah. So for us, motivation, I don't think wanes as much as it does for some other people that aren't quite as, emotionally and spiritually involved in this sport.
I don't know if, for me, if there's a goal there, you're going to strive for it, and I can't not strive for a goal if I have one, and I always have one.
Yeah, that's saying that's the goal, to achieve a certain level, to get as far as your body can take you or your mind can take you.
Yeah,
it can be a lot for any
forward.
person. Yeah, like Rocky Balboa said, it's not about how hard you can hit; it's how hard you can take the hits and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Yo, Adrian. So we got here the lovely Mr. Doug. He's sticking. It says it's hilarious walking around with them. Everybody's eyes get bigger and bigger as each one walks by. It's really fun when our son is around 6'3" and was 320.
Yeah, when they would see like me walk in, and then they see Rusty walk in, and they see Alex, our son, walk in, and people are like, "What the hell was this? Some circus just walked in the door?" Yeah.
Yeah. We also have this from a Mendoza. He says this: did Russ had a opportunity to end up in a movie? Mr. Russ, you ever act or performed anything?
He's done some cool little shorts for Powerhouse recently that are pretty fun.
Oh, those are just kind of little,
yeah, not a real movie, but a little skit kind of thing. Yeah,
I don't think I can handle lines. I tried doing a couple commercials years ago, and I can't handle lines. It's like,
Well, I think it's like one thing I think if we can get more bodybuilders into the mainstream, like into acting, into commercials, like Arnold used to commercials, he used to go overseas, use commercials. Lou Ferrigno used to do stuff like, the Incredible Hulk. He was in the MCU and also did cartoons. I remember seeing, who was it? I interviewed Sue Price a while back, and Sue Price was in the Nemesis movies. Also, I think also who else was in that movie too? I think Sharon Bernard was also in that movie, and a couple other ladies. The American Gladiators is back on television, and it's on Prime. And there's two ladies. One of them I interviewed, her name Danny Means, and another lady. They are in the figure division. They compete as gladiators. That was a very popular show. I think Lori, who played was it Siren? Not Siren. I think it was Ice. She competed at Masters USA's just this last month, and she was doing figure, and she's making a comeback after not competing for a long time. She's like 63, 62.
Wow.
You see, like it seems like we're getting a lot more competitors coming in. Like I interviewed a lady named Miss Rebecca Robbie. She competed back in about the same time as y'all did. She turned pro at the I think it was North Americans or the Nationals in Pittsburgh, and she competed as a pro. And then she's 76 now. You feel like you're seeing a lot more, like especially influencers like yourself who are getting into sport more now. Can you hear me?
Yeah. So was that a question? I didn't hear a question.
I usually have a conversation here, but yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, I think it's great that people are, if they can get into the, movie scene to be, more, or gladiators or whatever they end up doing, where more people are being able to see a muscular woman. I think that's helpful because that way, when you see a muscular woman in the real world, you're not like freaked out. So I think that's always a good thing. And it's great to see people that are, competing later in their lives. I mean, part of it is whether, you're, I think it's just partly staying healthy and showing that this can be a healthy lifestyle, and then we all know the importance of keeping your, muscle strength as you get older and how critical it is to keep you from falling and breaking bones and all that sort of thing. So, I mean, the entire planet could be, certainly get a lot of benefit from doing some resistance training, especially as they're getting older.
Mm-hmm. What's your thoughts, Mr. Rusty?
I agree.
He's one. Well, shout out to my man Lawrence. He says this. He says, one woman back in 2017 started to push more women empowerment, just like Xena, Princess Warrior, and many more. My man says this. He says, but I checked out y'all later. So I appreciate that. Also, he says, this is my man P. He says, must be great to be much stronger than the average guy. So, so, but as
For both of
bodybuilders,
us.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, I think one thing is like I did interview a lady who does powerlifting, and she mentioned she knows you, Suzanne Davis,
Yeah.
and she does powerlifting and bodybuilding.
Yeah, I did
And
powerlifting for a little stint too. Set a world record in bench press in 2020.
you ever
Yeah.
got into powerlifting yourself, Mr. Rusty?
I started off as Olympic lifting as a teenager, and I mean, I'm a fan, but I don't like go to. I don't actually do meets and stuff. But I've had a lot of friends in meets, and I'll go watch power meets and stuff. It's interesting.
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. It's a different level of training. Like she says, she has to when she's time for a bodybuilding because I think she's gonna do a show in a few weeks for powerlifting, and then I think another 9 weeks. After that, she's gonna do a show on bodybuilding, and it's different style of training because with
Yeah.
powerlifters they train for for strength and for mass, but with
Right. So you're doing lower reps so that means there's a lot more strain on your joints. And that's what kind of made me have to step back from powerlifting for a bit. Cause at the time in August of 2020, when I set that world record in bench press, I had a torn infraspinatus muscle, one of the muscles in the shoulder. And it's just like, pushing heavy weight so much, it doesn't give your joints enough time to recover. And so then switching back to bodybuilding style training has been so much more healthy for my joints. And I'd love to go back to powerlifting, but it's really a question of, are my joints going to be able to hack it? Right. I mean, certainly when you're younger, it's a lot easier. You don't have to deal with the osteoarthritis and all that crud that comes along, or the, extra problems in the joints that just come with age, no matter what you do. Yeah. So it's tough. And I really admire powerlifters. It's amazing. Like, with Melissa Tyke, some of the things she's posted with her power lifts and stuff, just amazing. I mean, she's not a very tall woman, but she's just insanely strong, like deadlifting over 500 pounds and, squatting over 500 and bench pressing over 300. And she makes it look easy, and it's like, okay, good for you. So she's inspiring.
Yeah. And for you, Mr. Russ, like, you ever had to deal with injuries? Because she's doing her shoulder and her hamstring. Like, what was your worst injury to kind of set you back in your progress as a bodybuilder?
Oh, dude, I pulled a groin muscle. I was bowling, right? I flipped on the freaking thing, and it was like, that took me out for like 6 months.
That's something you would never understand. Y'all have babies.
Oh,
bowling, how embarrassing.
yeah, that was horrible. Yeah.
I right now I have arthritis in my knees. I got two bad knees like Stone Cold Steve Austin. I have issues with my shoulder. I worked a lot most of my life. I have a pacemaker. I got it when I had my first heart attack when I was not even 40. I'm going 52 in November. And at one point, as I told your sister before, I was taking care of my mom for a long time because she was sick. And, I really packed on the weight because, taking care of her was a lot. And then I was almost 500 pounds. And now I went to my doctor a couple weeks ago. I'm down to 416. I mean, it's tough trying to change your habits, like especially where the food comes to it. Like, sometimes the food gets the best of you because they be calling your name like when you're going out to you smell it and you're just that's the tough part. That's one part about it because I learned this that it's not bodybuilding's not made just in the gym, but it's also made in the kitchen. Like y'all do your own nutrition, or you have somebody else with your nutritions?
I take care of my own food. I mean, Rafe writes up what I'm supposed to eat. And then I do my own cooking and everything. Sometimes Doug helps me with finishing up meal prep. Like when I was working, I would, start the chicken in the crock pot the night before. And then while I'm at work the next morning, he aliquots out the chicken for me, that kind of stuff. But what I figured out was the real key to kind of staying relatively lean all year long was, first of all, taking the time to find spices that you really enjoy, that really, set your taste buds on fire. And it's like, oh, this is really good, and so, by basically, cooking up the chicken with the spices that I really like. And even though there's not much fat in the chicken, then when I can eat that with squash, that gives enough moisture to it that it doesn't feel dry. And then sometimes I'll put like shawarma spice on there or some curry spice, all sorts of different things. So it's not even the same thing. Like back in the, 80s when like Rusty and I were dieting for shows, it'd be like, chicken and like it had to be like boiled chicken and broccoli, and that's all you were eating for the next month, right? And so that's really difficult to deal with. But when you had like this most recent prep, I was like, I looked forward to every meal I got to eat because they were super flavorful. You know, you take the time to chop up all the
You'll
good
never go
nuggets.
off your diet if you like what you're
Yeah,
eating.
exactly,
You know?
exactly. And so it's a lifestyle change. That's kind of the point I'm trying to make, is that if you can make this lifestyle change, that you realize that when you eat these foods in this way that are healthy for you, your body starts to crave that again. Each time you're like reinforcing those neural circuits that say, you know, this was satisfying to me. And then you get hungry again and you crave that same thing, right? And it can go the other way too. If you're like eating, you know, a Reese's peanut butter cup each time you get hungry, and then, you know, your brain is going to crave that again. So, you know, you're in control. You make the choices and you decide how you want to be for the next 20 years, right? Because it does have an impact. I mean, you look at Rusty and I over the years, and for the most part, we've had really healthy diets. You take your typical 58-year-old or 61.5-year-old person, they don't quite look like us, right?
No, I'm 51 now. I don't look like none of y'all. You know, like,
Right.
I
It's
can
partly
inspire.
diet and partly the lifestyle, you know, physical activity and lifting and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, and for you, like, what's day to day for you, Mr. Russ, when you're getting up and you're training? What's like how it starts for your we get up and get ready to start the day, you know?
What do I do when I start the day?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll eat a box of egg whites and a baked potato, and you know, that's how I'll start the day, you know. Run out the door, train my first client, you know. Then after that, I got an hour or so to lift before my next client comes in. So I'm like, cool. But that's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm. And when y'all training, what's that favorite and that favorite training you like to do? That favorite workout? It's like, oh, I feel so good. It's my favorite. And that one say, shit, I don't want to do this.
I like supersets. Superset training I always like, because I like a bicep move and a tricep move. You know what I mean? It seems like I can get a really good pump that way, you know.
And what's yours?
Well, for me, it's really a matter of what joint is not hurting on that particular day. So I think one of my favorite things to do is probably the reverse pec deck for rear delts. I've really been into doing that lately. It feels super good.
But you mean like the reverse lat extension row press behind the neck with full supination? That one?
I don't know that one.
Brand new to her. We got here a comment. Shout out to my nephew Alex. It says, you should see her cartoons and animated movies depicted muscular women from then to now. Positive recently. That's a different topic for another day. Plus, your son's name is Alex. It says
that is correct.
And Doug says it's yes, Alex, Big Al.
Well, except I call him my little man, because he'll always be my little man, even though he's enormously good to me.
That's the thing. I used to remember me, my mom, you know, when she was going through her stuff, we sitting there and I say, Mom, ain't I a man, Mama? Ain't I a man? She said, no, you're my baby. No, Mom, I'm a man, you know. And that's the thing is, as for us, you know, especially, you know, for us, our mother's our first love. My mother was my first love. I love it. I know your son got a woman and got kids now, but you always, it's gonna be 6 years coming summer since my mom passed. And it's good that he's seen you're doing good and you're putting yourself and what his uncle's doing and being inspiration to your family. That's very important.
Yeah.
Shout out to my man No says, is it easier now to become a judge in bodybuilding world? What's their qualification to become a judge? I mean, you know, is it a lot easier now, you think, judging now, or does it feel like you need that expertise?
Rusty's actually been a judge, so he knows the answer to that.
Well, you have to do some test judging at shows, and now you have to buy a judging card, like from the NPC, you know, to be certified or whatever, you know. But yeah, you have to test judge and pass all their test judging in order to become a judge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you have to pay to get that card?
The card, I don't know exactly what it costs, but you got to buy it just like you do an NPC card.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember someone explained to me how, like, when they do the judging, the head judge can overrule because they're the ones having control. Like even you might be the other judges might have a competitor they like, but the head judge can overrule that.
Yeah.
That's kind of it doesn't mean it's not like a vote. Like
the head judge just kind of adds up the scores and stuff. So I don't think the head judge really makes the biggest the decisions. They just add up the scores. So like the head judge is basically calling off the shots and picking out the top 5 or 6 people they think out of each line. That's what the head judge's job is. So, I mean, it'd be kind of cool if they just had one king judge, you know what I mean? Like maybe we can get an AI judge,
we talked about that where now with things such as facial recognition and stuff like that, all you gotta do is like put in what the dimensions and the sets for the physique, and if it fits that, because we're seeing a lot of women now in women's physique, in figure, in classic, who are getting as big as maybe open bodybuilders. I mean, the criteria is just not sticking to it. I'm seeing girls right now off season who's weighing 200 pounds and doing women's physique. I think they keep changing the criteria even time. You want your girls get bigger and fuller and this and that, but then and the guys who are coming bigger, they are not as rewarded as much because they still want that sleek and that conditioning. That's very important when it comes to judging.
Yeah, I think as far as using AI for anything, you just have to be very much aware that the AI is only as good as what you train it on, right? The data set you're training it on. So if you have that set up just perfectly and then you do some testing with it and see that it works well, that might be interesting to kind of see how that pans out, or maybe use it as a test judge, use an AI kind of as basically throw it in to the judging panel, like as though they're just another judge there that's being tested to see if they're acceptable and kind of go from there. That's how I would see it starting. But it would just be so odd. I mean, like you'd maybe in the future have the head judge calling out the poses, and then it's just the AI thing would judge everyone. I mean, you really have to be careful then also of the view that the AI would
it can't be political now.
Well, right. The thing is, though, that how it is when you're on stage and you're angled in at the judges, it's like you would have to make sure that AI, whatever view they're looking at, that they can have the proper, correct, equal view for everyone, right? Because then otherwise, just because you're off at the side of the stage a little bit, then you're going to get discounted by the AI because they didn't see how proportionate you really were because of the angle. So you just have to be cautious of those things.
Yeah, I think it's best just to use the human eye and use instinct and understanding than just because a machine can't do everything. It can do the numbers, stuff like that, maybe tally the numbers, but other than that, I think it should stick to judges.
Yeah.
Shout out to your husband, Mr. Doug. He says, of course, Andrea will always call Alex her little man. That's her baby, but I know that's your son. That's your boy. Yes, man, you're proud of him, but that's her baby. That's all that she had him. You didn't. You just did the hard part. Not. Hey, now you got a baby. Now you got to go. Yeah. Shout out to my man K Elder Warner coming through. He says this. He says hello, brother. Also, this is for a man. Says, did they ever meet a judge who don't have enough qualifications to be there making scores? I don't know. I think that's something. It's depending on the judge, because you go.
Okay, here's what happened in the old days. Okay,
go ahead.
If you wanted to judge the Mr. Tucson, you had to at least won the Mr. Tucson. So it was all ex-bodybuilders or bodybuilders who were judging the bodybuilding shows. So like, if you won the Mr. Arizona, you could judge the Mr. Tucson and the Mr. Arizona. But you couldn't judge over what you won. You know what I mean? And pretty much they used to just ask all the local people who had won shows to come in and judge. So you'd have all these guys who actually were bodybuilders judging these shows. Nowadays you can test judge. I mean, you don't have to be a bodybuilder, but as long as you get the right scores, you can be a judge.
I would think you want to have somebody who competed, understands sport. Like you look at guys like Tim Gardner. He does his show. He was a bodybuilder back in the day. Steve Weinberger. He somewhat kind of a bodybuilder, but he understands the sport. And Sandy Williams, and she competed back in the day. But again, go back guys like Tyler, who's not even.
They I'm sure they have people that are interested, that are good at the sport or whatever, but that's not a criteria of being a judge anymore. It used to actually be a criteria to be a judge, but now it's not. Like you didn't have to win anything. You could have never won anything in your life and still be a judge.
Right. If you've done the test judging and it shows that you are picking
Correct.
the right people, following the same criteria that everybody else is. Yeah.
Get here, my man Alex. He says, well, in the case, Andy, if you like, you and could call me Scrappy to avoid confusion with your son Alex.
There
Alex
we go.
is a common name. Yeah, so Scrappy,
All right,
little Scrappy. You call you little Scrappy. I see, Scrappy.
Like your Scooby Doo's little brother.
No, that was his nephew. Everybody hated him.
Okay.
Everybody hated him. But the thing is also sport it's not lucrative sport. If you're the lucky 1 to 2% can make a living out of it. And sponsorship, like this last show, especially where you're in Arizona, it doesn't cost you to do a show in Arizona. You're all the way in Pennsylvania, Mr. Russ. It's just like I said, would it be like beneficial if there was like more of like a pay grade or something? Because you got to count for the guys in bodybuilding. You got to wear a pair of bananas and board shorts, but you do have your expenses, from travel expenses to entry fees if you're doing masters, to suits, tanning for the all that stuff. Women's show day, that's when your expenses, because you have to get your hair, your makeup done.
Right.
I mean, would you ever be interested in working with somebody as a sponsor?
Rusty already has a sponsor. He's got Humanifort as a sponsor, right?
Emmerich down at Humanifort. Yeah, he helped me out with this last show, so it does help to have someone pick up some expenses. It makes it possible to get there and do the show,
Yeah, the expenses kind of add up. And for me, I've been mostly just paying for things on my own, just because it's hard for me to make a commitment to spending time on social media to promote things, much less myself. So and I'm okay with that. It's like, I'm lucky enough that my husband and I can afford to buy the things, the pre-workouts and whatever I need to do. And it's like, sure, if Ghost wants to sponsor me, or Axe and Sledge, sure, send me some protein powder or some pre-workout, but the cost that I would have to spend as far as my time goes is like, my time is more valuable than anything else right now. And I don't know that I would be able to make the time to really commit to promoting something.
Yeah, I think everybody finds that's something that really works in their process, something that's you can use. They don't want to just get something because hey, you give you some money and you can do this or that, because some things may not work. We got here from Mr. Doug. He says, you got you, Scrappy. And he says, Alex is a great name. Yeah. Is it just Alex, or you call him Alexander?
Well, his full name is Alexander, but it's always been Al or Alex for short. Yeah.
I can't imagine, Christmas around your house, everybody, you got, Mama, Uncle Rusty, like, can we sit here? It's kind of fun.
Yeah. We usually have a Christmas Day workout of some sort. Yeah.
Yeah. So, folks, we're not going to hold them too much longer. We do appreciate time to give us, because, Mr. Russ just finished a show just a couple of days ago. She rest recovery. The lovely Mrs. Wellington, she is recovering from her, issues with her hamstring, and maybe most probably hope we do see her because I think you posted that Triple O is going to be April the 10th next year, 2027.
Yeah. So we'll see if how I can do to get myself back in that show. We'll see. Yeah. So we got here. Shout out to a man, KL. He says this. He says, "What's your age, Russ? Sorry, I came late." Well, with a man, I'm gonna say he's 60. He's in his 60s. So because it's man, we can tell our age. As a gentleman, I'm from the South, Mr. Russ. We can never say a lady's age. We gotta respect the lady.
Yeah.
Well, Rusty, do you want to tell them how old you are?
Well, I'll be 62 in May, so next month.
Yeah. And I'm 58. So it's like, and there's like, I don't see how it's insulting for anybody to ask me how old I am, because I'm proud of everything I've done in my life, and I'm proud of what I've become. And if I weren't this old, I wouldn't have been able to develop the foundation I have and earn the money for all the cool motorcycles I get to ride and all these things. So it's like, I got a good life going on right now.
Yeah, because I know I talked to some ladies who are like, the kids are grown up. They don't have to worry
Yeah.
about taking them to school. Don't have to worry
Mhm.
about paying for tuition or
Right.
buying school clothes or this or that.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
like I
Life
remember
gets fun now.
if I lend my mom money, I say, I'm not gonna get it back. If I borrow from her, I know I gotta pay her back.
Right.
Shout out to my man Dose. He says this. He said, "Did they ever find out there are sorts on the end of the show and there were fake because they knew they done everything what could be done to be prepared, ripped for the show?" He's from Croatia, so it's
Okay.
kind of like, yeah.
I think he's asking if we're happy with our placings in the show, even though we did everything we could to be in the best shape we are. So it's like, for me, I always go with the attitude, I can't control who else is going to be there on the show day, and I can't control
You're a mountain to climb every show. It's always going to be different.
Right. So all I can do is control myself. And so I just make sure my goal every time is to be in my best shape that I possibly can, come in leaner and harder and better shaped than ever before. And if I've done that, then I've won in my eyes. So for me, it's like I've won Triple O Dynasty because I hit my goals for it. Right. And I'm perfectly content with the way the judges did the judging. Now, it's not always that people are happy with the judging. I mean, in my experience over the years watching Rusty in bodybuilding contests, there have been so many times we've seen him kind of pushed off to the side, and it's like, well, wait a minute, why? He should have been in the middle here, right? What's going on? And
the
so
judges do what the judges do. They judge.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you can't handle being judged, this ain't a sport you should be in.
Right.
So whatever they say, you got to go with it. Whether you like it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Like Stallone and Judge Dredd, prepare to be judged.
Yep.
Yeah. This is from my man KL. He says, even if I ask a woman, it's not a big deal that that's insecurity if person can't tell it. Well, his thing is, I'm from the South, and we don't ask the lady her age. That's just something, I was learned by my mama. She told me not to do that. So,
That's just etiquette,
Right. Like, you don't ask her if she's pregnant either, right?
Yeah. I think probably some people just don't have. He's from New York City.
Yeah.
My man from New York City. There's a different type from there. It says, folks, like, again, I appreciate y'all for coming through and sharing your stories, being siblings, finding the sport in your life, being dedicated to it, because most people wouldn't be as dedicated to something like this. It can be easy to be distracted. The cost, the travel, the diet, the food, the training, getting up in the morning and trying to stay disciplined when especially temptations around you all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you this question. For you, what really, like, for your future as a bodybuilder, what would you want the most? We'll go with Mr. Russ, since he's had problem hearing us. So, Mr. Russ, what would you want the most for your future as a bodybuilder?
So you're asking Rusty first? Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead and ask Andy first, because I didn't really hear that question.
Yeah, so he's asking, what do you want most for your future as a bodybuilder? So you go ahead.
Yeah.
I just want to continue being healthy and happy, and maybe get a couple more shows in, see what I can do. I mean, I'd like to be on the Masters Olympia stage again. That would be nice. But, if it's in the cards, it's in the cards, we'll see.
Yeah, he looked awesome at the last Masters Olympia he competed in. Yeah, I have a big poster of a bunch of the pictures from that show that I put in my posing room, so that every time I'd go in my posing room to practice, I'd see those. And I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, and for me, yeah, it's like I just want to be able to stay, keep my joints, my body healthy, so that I can keep competing, and then I'll just compete as long as I still find joy in it. But either way, whether I compete or not, I'm still going to be lifting because that's what's in my heart. I will lift until the day I die. And I told this to my acupuncturist, and the acupuncturist kind of laughed at me as like, oh, isn't that kind of, pretentious? And it's like, no, it's who I am. It's what I do.
Yeah. And there's Mr. Russ. Give us flex. I know you guys, you like to see the ladies flex, but hey, I got some flex show here for you guys. And look, just 2 days from the show, still got that pump, still looking good. I mean, got a shout out to these two lovely folks. So I would say, as a standpoint for a person, I'm not a competitor, but as a fan, I would wish, especially for the women, more opportunities, more recognition, a little bit more better payday. For you guys, y'all in a good space. My man Big Keith, he's an IB pro. He tells me, we don't worry about you may don't worry about too much, but still, it's always could be a little more opportunities for you, especially out here in the mainstream in the world. But again, those days are gone. We can think fondly. I used to watching shows like there used to be a show called American Muscles that come on the weekends. I used to watching that. When stuff like the Olympia used to like after the show they showed it a week later on television. And how everything has evolved and changed over the age and the time. We got here from Mr. Doug. He says this. He says, shout out to him. He says, I think judging has gotten a lot more reliable over time. A long time ago, I disagreed with a lot of placings, but I've been happy lately. Yeah, that's the thing is, it's all about what you're going to bring. You have to be, again, go back to consistency, go back to the dieting, go back to training, and also the focus. Because you know what? You got to say, like, you can think about it. If you got to say someone like Andrea, or you got someone like Andrew Jack, it's going to be a big difference because those athletes have, they're still in their, early years, they're still hitting their levels, but each person who competes in sport, bringing what they want to bring to represent themselves, the work, the diet, the consistency, the discipline, and it's not easy, not for everybody, but you know what? If you long as you enjoy what you're doing, have at it. There you go. He's flexing, show the tricep, trying to outdo his little sister, trying to outdo the baby girl.
He's got a much better tan than I do. And so do you, George.
Well, this is natural, so I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. Well, that's natural for him too.
Yeah. So anyway, folks, we'd like to thank the lovely Miss Andrea Wellington and the dear Mr. Rusty Jeffries for their time. Shout out to Mr. Doug Kimmy here in the comment section. My man No Dose, my brother KL the Wanderer, my man Lawrence, Alex, my nephew, all who watch and listen to this live stream. Support these men and women in the sport of bodybuilding. Be interested in genuine support. Don't be the weird guy. I know I say this about the ladies. Hey, don't say some weird stuff to ladies. Don't say some weird stuff to the guys. Come on, you guys out there. Come on, you behave yourselves. Shout out to my man Alex. Says Rusty, keep up the great work. Andy, wishing you a speedy recovery, and it was nice meeting you, Doug. Appreciate your other Alex. So and I gotta say this. He says, and I will tell you both of y'all, even though you are beautiful. I'm sorry about him. I'm trying to see a specialist. So folks, I'd like to thank the Wellingtons and the Jeffers for coming through. I appreciate them and wish them best of luck in their future in the sport of bodybuilding.
Great. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, you take care too. So folks, you mail away George Page, aka the Emperor of Female Bodybuilding Talk. Don't subscribe. I am out. Good night. God bless. Good luck, and see you next time.
Take care.
Ahoy.